This is serious. What the president did, what the president knew, this is serious. I want to play you this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Audio of some of those interviews has just been released. They are the receipts, as I said earlier, and they paint a damning portrait of this president's mishandling of the virus. President Trump admitted to Woodward that he intentionally downplayed the virus, even though he knew how deadly it was. Back in February, as the president was telling the public that the virus was no worse than a seasonal flu, here's what he told Bob Woodward.
It goes through air, Bob. That's always tougher than the touch. You know, the touch, you don't have to touch things, right? But the air, you just breathe the air, and that's how it's passed. And so that's a very tricky one. That's a very delicate one. It's also more deadly than your strenuous flus. You know, people don't realize we lose 25,000, 30,000 people a year here. Who would ever think that, right?
I know. It's
it's pretty amazing. And then I say, well, is that the same thing? This is more deadly. This is 5% versus 1%.
So that's what he told Woodward in February. And here's what he was telling the rest of us around the same time.
You know, in many cases, when you catch this, it's very light. You don't even know there's a problem. Sometimes they just get the sniffles. Sometimes they just get something where they're not feeling quite right. And sometimes they feel really bad. But that's a little bit like the flu. It's a little like the regular flu that we have flu shots for. And we'll essentially have a flu shot for this in a fairly quick manner.
According to Woodward's book, the president was warned by his national security advisor and others that this was a deadly airborne virus, something the president seemed to confirm to Woodward himself, as you heard in that earlier audio. His interviews with Woodward, President Trump admitted back in March that despite everything he knew, he remained intent on downplaying the threat. Take a listen.
Now it's turning out it's not just old people, Bob. Just today and yesterday, some startling facts came out. It's not just older
exactly.
young people, to plenty of young people.
So
what's going on
give me a moment of talking to somebody, going through this with Fauci or somebody who kind of it caused a pivot in your mind, because it's clear just from what's on the public record that you went through a pivot on this to, oh my God, the gravity is almost inexplicable and unexplainable.
Well, I think, Bob, really, to be honest with you,
sure, I want you to.
I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down.
Yes,
because I don't want to create a panic.
This is one of the most revealing portraits of the president's response to the COVID crisis, which has now killed nearly 200,000 people in the United States.
I'm Egberto Willie. Now, even as the president is coming clean, even as he's starting to say, oh, I am playing it down because I don't want to create a panic. Think about that. He could have said, yes, I'm playing it down not to create a panic. Understood. Let's say that there are times when leaders would do things like that. However, there is too much here. One, if he was playing it down just not to create a panic, he would not have been telling people not to social distance. He would not have been telling people that things are going to be just fine. He would not have been telling people, even though he knew better, that both young and old can get this disease and pass this disease. Remember, back in February, he knew all of this. He would not have told people that it's just like the flu, even though he's telling Woodward one has a mortality of 5%, the other one a 1%. And guess what? That's 500% difference in mortality, right? He would not have said, oh, that stuff, it's not very contagious, even though then he knew it was being passed through the air. And what does that mean? That trying to ask people to wear masks, etc., made sense. Donald Trump is a pathological liar, but worse than that. Worse than that. What he's done is because of the leadership that he has displayed and because of those who follow him, the people who believe in him. They, for all practical purposes, he has killed them. Because what he has done is, in as much as he knew all of this, he knew it passed through air. He knew it was more deadly. He knew the old and the young got it. He knows that. It's not like he's saying, oh, maybe this, maybe that. Oh, those progressives are saying this, but in reality, you don't have to take it seriously. He knew it. And he cared so much about the people who love him so much that he really didn't give a damn. So for all of you who are following his every word, for all of you who are always defending this president, for the 40% or so that somehow can find it in their hearts to think there's something benevolent of this man, I've got to ask you, what is it gonna take? You could dispel the last few stories where there were anonymous folks talking. Now you hear it in the president's own words. If you don't act based on what the president himself says, what does that say about you? This president has no right to be reelected. In fact, this president should be taken out of the Oval Office in shackles after putting so many Americans to death. I'm Egberto Willies, host of Politics Done Right, an independent news program. I post several news videos of interest every day. I ask you so kindly to subscribe to my channel, and please leave me some comments. Thank you very much.